they're not healthy for us. You know, they're hurting our bodies because we're on more medicines and more things.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Lyfe Choyces podcast.
Yeah!
Not just the mental health, which we've talked about before, that's important. Our physical health is important because, you know, I had this thought today in the shower. It's like I'm 46. I feel great. I'm healthy. I do everything I need to do to stay in that shape. But the reality of mortality is there. Right. And let's be honest, 100 hopefully would be the life expectancy nowadays. Like there shouldn't be a reason why you couldn't get there if you maintain.
Right.
But it's still, you're midway through, you're halfway through, and you kind of want to be like, all right, well, I want to experience a lot more in life. I want to do more. So now I have 8 different vitamin supplements to maintain my body.
Right.
And then like a powder. So I have all these pills that I take for inner health. Mm-hmm. And then I have like a organic greens, all your mushrooms powder that I mix. And like my daily routine now in the morning is, you know, have a little bit of fruit or something like that, and then pop all these pills and powders and drink, and okay, now I can go out in the world because I'm helping my body. But it's a weird state, like for you and I who cook food for people for a living, and our responsibility isn't just to put food on the table and in the belly, it's also give them food that's healthy. Right. But our food nowadays, or for decades, has been so fucked with that we're now having to eat pills, powders, caplets, all this shit to get what we're supposed to be able to get out of our food in order to survive. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's horrible. And it's funny because this has actually been on my mind the last couple of days. Somebody had put it in my head the other day, like kids that grew up in the 80s and even some of the 90s. The way they put it was like, what was in the formulas that your parents gave you? Because we look younger, 52, most people think I'm in my 30s, right? We look younger than our parents do at our age, so something triggered then, and it's all this falsified like nutrients and stuff like that, but they're not healthy for us. They're hurting our bodies because we're on more medicines and more things. I take a 1-a-day, pill. It's a prescription pill. It's not like something off the shelf. It's something that's more complete for me. So I'm not looking for all the other things. And then the other thing I've been looking at was the salt. I use Celtic salt, some sea salts, things like that. I don't, obviously there's no iodized in my house. I use kosher salt to dry up the spills on the floor, So, but somebody had said, we're walking around dehydrated. Even though you're drinking a gallon of water per day, you're still dehydrated. Listening to that person, why, water doesn't always hydrate, salt doesn't always dehydrate, but together your body needs it. Your stomach needs salt. The acid has salt. Your kidneys need salt, so on and so on and so on. Your body just needs a certain amount of salt. He said the ranges were like 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams or something like that per day, and nobody's taking that in. They're taking in iodized salt, which is made into the processed foods that we have. So we think we're having a lot of salt. We're having heart problems. We're just not having good salt. And so back to your point, what's in food, all these things that we do as chefs, they've hurt the food source, and we're not giving nutrients the way we should. So
we're giving good looking food,
right? And
people think it's great.
Right.
And then if we're doing the healthy, the quinoa and all that, people are like, oh, this health, oh, it's so great. This food is healthy, but not our fault, but the food's been fucked with so much that we don't have that ability to give people the actual nutrients, like you're saying, that we should be giving them.
Right.
I love that you brought up the fact of the drinking water, because everyone knows that I have this big, I think it's 64, it's a massive
half-gallon
jug that I carry with me everywhere. If I'm at the gym, the whole thing gets had at the gym, and one more throughout the day. That's 2 a day, and you would think I would be good.
Yeah.
There's an old school doctor, he's not around anymore, that talked about the alkaline diet.
Okay.
And how the alkaline diet can fix your gut health problems. So I'm getting a bit involved into reading on this topic, because I have a lot of gut issues. I'm not celiac, I'm not gluten, I've had all these tests, but I do know certain foods affect discomfort
Sure.
in my stomach. And certain foods, I know right away if I ate them every day for a week, I would gain a pound or two directly in my stomach.
Sure.
So I'm reading all this information, and about the water, this particular gentleman, and there's other people out there that are coming across my feeds, which I find interesting. They talk about eating your water. So
Okay.
in foods that actually have natural water, so watermelon is 90% water.
Sure.
So, and I love watermelon.
Yeah.
So I could smash that every day
But you got to be careful. Most watermelons nowadays are genetically modified.
if they are seedless.
Yeah, if they're
Right?
seedless,
So-
or they have the little white seeds.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the information that I'm
Right.
reading in these books, is like making sure that you're eating, if you're going for the alkaline diet, right? This is one option, one ideology on how to fix gut health.
Right.
It's not the only way, but it's what I'm coming across. And they're saying natural fruits and vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of them. That's where you can actually get most of your nutrients and most of your water that you should be having. So I came across and I was like, that's so fucking interesting. I never, 30 some odd years of cooking, never would think I could receive all the water I'm supposed to have in a day through my food.
Yeah, I would not have thought that either. And I know you have your three basics, right? So when you're looking at your food in your grocery store, there's genetically modified, there's alkaline, and there's acidic, right? So if you're looking at spinach and kale, and those types of thing, I don't know where those fall. And those are good. That's what you want to be eating. But then there's other things that are obviously acidic that you want to stay away from, because that,
That causes a lot of the problems, which is funny
and
because there's a
cancers and
lot of
things like that.
food
Yep.
that we enjoy that is acidic. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I love kimchi,
yeah,
right?
Yep.
But it's actually a good probiotic.
yes, because of the fermentation,
Exactly.
lacto fermentation.
So it's like, and again, with all this information that we come across and that we share, it's you got to take everything with a grain of salt,
Right.
pun intended, because what is good for you and what is bad for you, obviously moderation. Every human system is different. You got to figure out what's good for you.
Right.
I love something like kimchi in the morning, apple cider vinegar, that little spoonful of it to help kickstart the metabolism.
That's
going.
a digestive metabolism kicker. Yeah.
Right. So I have every single morning right now. I do it once a week. I make it. I do a ginger, turmeric, lime, honey, pepper mixture.
Right.
250 milliliters of water with this, 2 limes, spoonful of honey,
Using black pepper or cayenne.
pinch of black pepper.
So cayenne's better.
Cayenne's going to add that.
Even though it's more spicy.
Right.
Cayenne, look up cayenne, like the health benefits. It is one of the best peppers in the world that your body can absorb, that you can take.
Perfect.
Cayenne
Okay.
pepper.
And then they say that the pepper adding to this is going to increase the benefits of, I think, the turmeric that's in there.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is an excellent thing. So every single morning, the first thing that goes into my body is a shot of this. Then the next thing is a little bit of fruit. Then all my supplements.
Right.
So it's very interesting. All the information out there. I have a very difficult time now going to a grocery store because I'm receiving all this
Going
information.
to grocery stores. Used to love it.
I 100%. I would love going in there without any idea what I was going to cook,
Yep.
and it just kind of like
Yep.
get the creative juices going by seeing everything. Even looking at all of our produce right now, I look at it and I think, okay, what has fucking been done to this? Cameron the other day, I think, brought up this point. We were sitting here eating McDonald's French fries. I mean, let's be honest, they're fucking great. They taste amazing. I still, from time to time,
Yeah.
go across the street because it's right there, grab a McDonald's dinner.
Yeah.
And I always ask them, can I get a fresh order of French fries? Because when they come right out of the fryer, they're better. The oil's not the best. And the French fry, apparently, this is what Cameron told us. I think it was 750 acres that Bill Gates has
Yeah.
of a farm
I know this.
for specifically the potato used for McDonald's that is so chemically fucked with that there are no brown spots.
Correct.
And that once they're harvested, they have to then be moved to a place in order to be washed for weeks before a human hand can touch it.
I know about the farm. I didn't know at that. I know it's a GMO farm that McDonald's and Bill Gates, they conspiracy on this, so they don't have ugly potatoes. Like, listen, I want the French fry that has that little brown spot, that has that little, like, it's like an heirloom tomato. People for so long were afraid of heirloom tomatoes. Now they're prized, right?
Dude, they're fucking expensive.
Once they learn that it's like the mother seed and it's supposed to look ugly.
Yes.
Right? But if it wasn't that red, round, perfect tomato that they were getting every day that they've been groomed on, they looked at these other ones like, oh, I don't want that. It's ugly. Like it's all,
they're my favorite.
It's all disformed.
Yeah.
But it's literally the best. It's from the mother seed. It's the same with these potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Gates has his hands in so much stuff.
Oh, I'm sure. I prefer the hand cut fries. There was a I don't want to call it a restaurant. It was a place in all of the food courts back home in Canada called New York Fries.
Right.
And they did the hand cut French fry. You get it right away. You can't even take them home to eat them because they're just not the same when they get home. But right away, they were the best. But it's so interesting to me that we have to eat so many pills to get what our bodies are wanting, unless you have a self-sustaining farm for yourself. Right? If you have all the growth and all that sort of stuff and you can make all the product, I can't even walk down an aisle in a grocery store. I feel, as it might sound silly, I feel like all of this fake food is yelling at me.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's so bright, it's so colorful, it's so like eye appealing. And even if I'm in a rush, long day, and I didn't get groceries and I'm not cooking dinner and I'm like, fuck, I just want to go get something real quick for myself. I'll spend 30 minutes in the grocery store and then leave without anything.
Right.
Because I want the chunky soup, and then and then I'm just like, all of this stuff is horrible for my body.
You know what they say in a grocery store? The only things you actually need are on the outside aisle, the wall. Follow the wall. There's nothing in the middle that you need at all. Nothing at all. You don't need the vinegars, the oils, because on the walls you'll have the limes, the lemons, you'll have the grass-fed butters, you'll have the tallow, right? So that's on the outside wall with the meats, the fish, like all those things.
The raw products. Everything
Inside, in all the aisles, has been additives, GMO, like they've messed with it for shelf stable and flavors, right? It's all just crap, basically.
It's unhealthy bullshit for people.
So you have your dairy, you have your eggs, your seafood, your beef, your chicken, all your produce. It's always on the outside parameters of the wall. And usually most grocery stores, the doors are in the middle and they want people to go right down to the middle of these aisles right away because it's too far to walk. Like if you walk into a grocery store, don't you? I do. Anyways, I'm like, I gotta walk all the way down there to get to my dairy, No,
it's true. You and usually any one specific company of a grocery store, they're all set up the same way.
Yeah.
And you're right, because here we go to Publix, you walk in and usually milk, dairy all the way at that end of the wall, and produce all the way down there.
And all the meat's on the back.
All the back wall. And everything in that center is colorful and exciting and quick and easy. We've become, we just had this conversation the other night, we've become so lazy due to convenience. And it's expensive to be, everything's expensive now, but Uber Eats is like, you order something for $20. By the time it gets to your door, it's like $35 because there's $10 to $15 of service fees and taxes and stuff. So your laziness is costing you more, but eating healthy is expensive.
It is.
It's super expensive. What do we do?
I don't know. I mean, you have to be knowledgeable about your food. I think we have to get it out of our heads that we want those things in the middle aisles, right? The reality is we just need the natural fat. We need grass-fed butter. We need, the tallow from the beef. You can cook everything in those things. You don't need avocado oil, olive oil, any of this stuff.
EVOO.
If you're eating it raw, it's great.
That's the only one I use for salad dressing.
People that pour it into a saute pan and light it up, it turns it into a carcinogen, right?
Instantly.
Yeah, there's that chemical reaction with the oil and the heat. Becomes a carcinogen. It's basically poison, So there was this study about beef, not to cut you off because it's in my head real quick here. Cancer. People like, if you eat too much beef, you get cancer. Too much beef, right? Cancer. There probably is some sort of cancer with everything, right? I'm not saying that it's not there. But what they found was that the oils that everybody was using to grill or sear their steaks were the canola, the West, like all those like poor oils. And as soon as it hits the searing pan or the grill, the carcinogen goes into the meat, and you're getting the cancer from the actual oils that you're using. So if you go back to the tallow, right?
Just for our viewers, explain to them what tallow is.
Sorry.
Some of them probably, you and I, cooks, yes.
Yeah. Tallow is the natural rendered fat from the beef or from the animal. So, when I go to like Costco and they have great, prime New York strips, and it comes with a nice fat cap, I'll take that cap off, clean it up a little bit, cut my steak portions, put those in the refrigerator, whatever. But with the rest of the meat, my little KitchenAid, dough mix or whatever has an attachment for a meat grinder, which I use, and I just drop the fat in. I put it on low on the burner, and I just let all the fat just come out, and then I strain it, and you get pure fat from that animal. And that fat is high temp, right? You can put it in a cast iron and get that cast iron smoking hot, and it'll hold the heat. And it won't burn.
And it won't burn your product that you're putting in there, because that's what a lot of people don't. Well, actually, we take for granted the knowledge that we have, but a lot of people don't quite understand why there's so many different oils. They think it's just different flavors.
Right.
Oils have different flash points. So depending on how hot, how heated, will depend on how quickly it's going to burn something.
Yeah.
And that's why people use certain oils.
Like olive oil will catch on fire at 400 degrees.
There you go.
I think it's 360 or 70 that it can go up to before it starts shimmering. It can pop, right? Grapeseed oil is like 500 degrees, but then you have some of these ones that can get way up there, and you just know that that's bad for you if it has that much resistance.
But that's something that I'm glad we shared about the tallow, because a lot of people, it's more effort, okay,
right.
And people don't want to put in the effort. But if you put in a little bit of effort, like everything in life, you're going to get a better result. So if you go to Costco, and instead of getting the portioned steaks,
right,
get a whole loin,
right,
you get for free, right? That's literally what's happening.
Yep.
You're for free after you cut off some of the fat cap, portion your steaks, like you said. All of a sudden you have this extra amount of fat that you can process. Most people, I want to say, have a KitchenAid at home that comes with that attachment.
Yeah.
And they can grind up their own fat. Like if they've ever made sausage before, they probably have it.
Yep.
And then boom, you have, what would you say, out of a whole New York strip loin, let's say, how much rendered
off of let's say 12 to 13 pound strip loin, which is about average weight for those. The last time I did it, I believe I got about a quart.
Okay, like a mason jar.
Yeah, like a quart mason jar.
There you go,
like 32 ounces.
And that's
yeah.
For me, I would say it's at least a week or so of heavy cooking.
Oh, at least.
Right.
You don't need as much, when you're using it. So at least a week. Now I'm trying to think about how
I'm trying to think I use a bottle, I think 750 to a liter.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking now, of course, I'm talking about when I'm working on a boat, the high volume where I'm cooking for 10 crew and 12 guests every day, 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
One of those bottles lasts me maybe a week.
Yeah.
But if you have like your run of the mill home, 2.4
family,
children,
right,
you know what I'm saying, 4 bodies, 5 bodies, and you're really only cooking dinner because the kids go to school for lunch,
if you're using 2 ounces to sear your meat or your chicken with, 2 ounces is a lot, to be honest with you. And you got 32 ounces in the fridge. That's 16 days worth of oil.
Exactly. For free.
Yeah.
By going to a place where you can buy bulk product.
16 meals. Yeah.
Now
I'm curious about what Costco does with all that fat
right?
Because I don't see them selling tallow. They could easily put it in a tub.
I imagine they probably put it in the ground beef.
Oh yeah,
right. Because they grind it all and they make
mix,
exactly. And maybe if they do like Costco sausages, they probably put some of that fat in there.
Yeah.
So there's a couple other things actually. Today's topic of health and how we've been fucked over. Basically, there's 2 different things going on that unfortunately we have in our bodies forever. Well, we have plastic. Teflon in our bodies forever because of everything that's been going on.
There's a lawsuit with Teflon right now. Like this
still
came out. Yeah, no, a new one. Yeah.
Okay.
That it's poisoning like even worse than what they'd expect. It was just on the news the other day.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Because I just watched a movie. It goes to a town, I think Iowa. After a long period of time, they found out that there was like so many cancers that all were related back to the fact that this factory was making the Teflon, saying it was okay, and they were testing it on their employees without them knowing. a child, a real person is still out there
Right.
that had a deformed nose, eyes, not like horrible shit.
Yeah.
And we always use Teflon pans. And to the point where like I've literally gone to Captain's, like even a little scratch on the pan, I say, listen, I've got to buy new pans.
Yep.
And it's funny because like, oh no, we don't want to spend money. They're fine. We've had them for a while, but it's
Right.
like, that's fucking killing us.
Yeah. A little bit of time.
And then I came across this other thing, and don't get me wrong, I love women wearing yoga pants. The material that's being put, there is plastic in the material that they're wearing,
Yes.
and that is leaching into their bodies. You can, I don't even know, probably super rare that there are women out there that are boycotting yoga pants because they're so comfortable,
I don't know anybody.
right? But here's scientific fact that it is putting plastic into your body.
Yeah. And then when they use them in like hot yoga or in like if you're training heavily and your body temperature's going up, it actually, and your sweat goes into it, it actually pulls it in faster. Because now there's the moisture, it's actually coming in through the sweat, through your body that's excreting out. It's finding its way through that because of the heat transfer rather than just dry on dry, which it still goes through. But once you start that activity and you start sweating, then it really starts to,
Like I'm dumbfounded right now that we have, and again, I've only started educating myself the past 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm 46 years old. I had all this time to learn about this stuff. And of course now with the internet, and not everything out there's true on the internet, but there's so much information available. We have like, are people, I mean, it's going to be a yes, but are they, the people with the wealth, that money hungry that they care so little about humankind,
Yep.
that the almighty dollar is more important to them, that they're not giving a flying fuck? Because even their own families, their own children,
They're all wearing it.
they're all wearing it.
Yep.
Their chefs,
Yep.
right,
Yep.
are still using the Teflon pans. It seems like no one, it's really like the world has really been fucking with my mind lately.
And it was a big controversy because the yoga pants, it actually, somebody did a thing about men's underwear.
Oh shit.
Because men's underwear is also heavily, like, there's some brands, like they say go with the, what is it, the coconut. There's a material that they use in like Hawaii and stuff like that. Oh, bamboo, sorry.
Bamboo, okay.
The bamboo and these different like lighter, sort of fabrics. But because a lot of the stuff that they're using that has multiple things in it, or like if it's stretchy with rayon for workout, whatever, it's made with plastic. And it's actually in the male gonads. Your body's actually absorbing into testicles and all that. And it's affecting maturity of men. And,
And that whole process.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it's our own fault as humans that we take so long to mature in our brain to realize what's more important in life.
Yeah.
And that this information, for some reason, we don't bother trying to gather it until.
We've become such in the moment for the species that we are. 50 years ago, our grandparents or great-grandparents or whatever at that time, they're working off of what they knew, right? And how to keep things going. Now, we don't care about what the past was. But back when our great-grandparents, and you can argue this, people say like, oh, they didn't have doctors or social media was different back then. It wasn't more aware, so it's probably the same. I disagree. They were healthier. They were thinner. They were more fit. There was less erectile dysfunction. There was less breast cancer. All that sort of stuff, I think, was minimalized back then. But because of everything these companies will keep adding to our food sources, into our clothing, into our deodorants, or whatever we want to, put on our bodies, we're becoming needy of all these new prescriptions. So one hand's feeding the other above us, right? So
I take accountability, like we talk on the show. It's very important to be accountable for stuff. And like even a captain I used to work with, like asked me what deodorant I use, which is the Gillette Clear Gel, which has
that's what I use. Yeah.
yeah, which has the I'm going to forget the product that's not good for you, but it has the aluminum in it. And here I am every day just putting aluminum into my body. And it's Yeah, I'm just like, it's very like I am literally moving out of North America.
Yep.
I'm transitioning out of what I've been doing for 17 years of my life, and I'm going to be going to live in a different country, a third world country, and every time I'm over there, I'm happier. Life just seems way better. You still have to worry about making money and all that sort of stuff, but we have our things set in plan. But it's more living naturally. It's more eating off the planet,
right,
without modified chemical bullshit. And I'm not saying I want to become a caveman, but I don't want my kids, when I have them, like your kids are already like
22 and 28. Yep.
Exactly. Like they're full grown on their own, theoretically, humans.
Yep. Making their own decisions.
Right. And like, I don't want my children to have any of this shit being put into their system.
You know, the thing with the microplastics, touch back on, I was just thinking, I had watched this thing with the Congress. And this was probably, I don't know when the hearing was, but I watched it about a month ago. So it's probably right around that time. I don't know if it was live or not, but this young woman was in there advocating for removal of plastics, right? And all this sort of stuff. And the Congress, I mean, they chewed her up and spit her out, right? These guys are smart. But basically what happened was what we just talked about with the yoga pants and things like that. He started going into, you know, there's nothing in this country that doesn't have plastic in it, that we need it for, you know, production, all these sorts of things. And she's like, no, I disagree. And he's like, the glasses that you're wearing, what are they made out of? Well, she's like, glass, but the frames are plastic. The clothes you have on, she's like, oh, these are this and this and that. And he's like, yes, and that has plastic in it. You know, that's that chemical, whatever. He went through her shoes on her feet, the water bottle she had. She's like, it's metal. He's like, but that coating is plastic. That top is plastic. And then there was an automotive person in the room that was testifying on something else as well. And he directly went to that person and said, could you produce any vehicles without plastic? He's like, no, it would never happen. I have to have plastic.
The unfortunate thing is also they have the people that are willing to take money in order to say what is needed to be said.
Of course, yeah.
Right? There's always a way that you can do things without other things.
Absolutely. But there's a cost to it, and there's all the
100%.
And that's what they're
what they're saying, because the cost to the everyday citizen would be higher.
Yeah.
Right? Because it would.
Food stays fresher because everything's in plastic. Like they had an argument for everything.
No, for sure. And because they're coming from the aspect, not what's best for human, but what's best for their pocket.
But they spin it as if,
100%.
Where the plastic keeps your food fresher longer, it's better for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, they spin it. Absolutely. I get the whole thing.
But
I felt bad for her because the guy literally said, so when you walk out this door, if you want to come back with nothing, that you didn't use plastic in any way to get here or on you, whatever, we'd be happy to have a different discussion. But until you don't use
for me, because I don't care, I would walk back in naked.
I literally thought that. I'm like,
100%.
Step out, take off your clothes, and just walk.
100%.
Yeah.
I can walk from anywhere to anywhere. It might take me longer, and you can't give me shit for being naked in public.
Yeah,
you literally just told me do it without any plastic.
Yep.
Here I am, exactly as a human should be.
No glasses, nothing on. Yep.
And which is funny because again, we're bouncing all over the place, but like the rules that we have been given in society, which are so fucked up, is every human, I believe, it's my own thought because what I do on holiday, I try to get private villas when I travel, especially through Thailand. And when I have that private villa, I'm naked the whole time. Even when I'm cooking.
I'm kind of that way myself, even at my house here. My kid's kind of like, Dad.
Listen, I'm in a sarong only because I have roommates, right? But the thing is, if everyone human does that, they feel comfortable by themselves because, you know, what we've been told about our own bodies. It strips away all the power of other people telling you what is and isn't good and what is and isn't allowed for you. But our society is based on this governing body that can dictate what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
And where the money goes. And if you, you want this lifestyle, it's going to cost this much more. But the lifestyle we have costs a lot of money because of what they've told us. So again, it's like the way that you're looking at it and the way that you kind of like have your mindset. It's like, well, living a lifestyle of wearing clothing is expensive. Clothing is expensive. I don't really buy much clothing anymore.
I don't.
Eating is expensive. Lodging, holy fuck.
Eating and lodging has gotten ridiculous.
And they're two necessities.
And it's two necessities, yeah.
Two
It's
necessities of
gotten
life.
ridiculous, yeah.
The world that we're in is very difficult. There's a lot of shit, as we've talked about today, that is unfortunately not going well for humankind.
Yeah.
It is very tough, and it's on us. It is accountability for yourself, because your house and home is what's important to you, your children, your spouse, your way of life. If you want to live healthier, better, longer, you have to get the information. You have to implement these new tactics on eating right and clothing. I can't believe, I don't think I will. Now that I know about the underwear, I'm now going to look at what
your underwear is. Yeah.
What's made it.
It's causing erectile dysfunction or for kids, for their gonads not to drop early enough, you know, which is puberty basically, right? So it's affecting all these things, you know, because where I don't want to throw a brand under the bus. I don't know how they make it, but they got all these like cartoon characters and all these things, and all that plastic from all this ink and everything else that's in there is being absorbed by these kids that are highly active. And when
like you're saying, the heat and the sweat,
it starts to absorb and it starts to affect their health. Yeah.
And that's why I love doing this, because I always learn something from the guest that comes here.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get all my underwear from H&M. So I'm going to dive in now. I'm going to go online and see what the H&M boxers are made out of. I've been wearing them for at least 10 or 15 years.
I try to wear like flip-flops, so as little socks as possible.
I came into my realm of absorbing knowledge was grounding.
Yeah.
The aspect
I do it
of the feet. Yeah, you go out there and you're barefoot.
So the biggest part of grounding, especially you're already doing, is when we hit the beach in the morning and we do our stuff, you know. You might have some flip-flops on, but, you know, I usually kick mine off. I'm in the water.
Oh, as soon as I get to the beach, like the first step on the sand.
That's the same for me. They're off, yeah. You start grounding right there. And that's the beach. The sand is actually one of the higher grounding areas for you. So, and then if you go into the ocean with the feet on the ground, in that sand, you kind of sink in a little bit.
Oh, I dig my feet.
Yeah, it covers your feet, and that's actually better. But the energy's from the water. The grounding of the ocean water is massive. So I love that stuff. Yeah. That's my thing. Yeah.
I even tell people like if you're walking around in flip-flops like we do here in South Florida, and don't give a fuck what other people are going to think. Who gives a flying fuck? They're not in your world. I take my flip-flops off. I check for dog shit. I take my flip-flops off, stand beside a tree, and I hug a fucking tree.
Yeah.
I 100% do. Why?
I don't hug trees, but...
Oh, no, I do. But you know why? When we were kids, we used to climb the fucking tree.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'd land on the ground. There was no problem with that. I'm not about to climb a tree right now, like physically.
Right.
I don't know what would happen to me if I jumped out of it, but I definitely give a tree a hug. I don't give a fuck. Like there's a lot of fucking energy going right down into the ground. Yep. And they have all these different shoes and stuff like that that are built to help with, they say
it's a grounding shoe. They have little metal
right, but you have to be careful. Again, they say it's grounding because it looks like your foot and it's whatever. It's still a space between your foot and the ground.
Right.
The true grounding is a barefoot situation.
Grounding is your whole foot. Right, the whole part of your foot on the surface of the earth.
Well, thank you, Daryl, very much for coming by again. I appreciate it. For everyone out there in Lyfe Choyces land, thank you once again for coming by. We'll see you next Tuesday here, 2 p.m. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.